Have you ever thought to yourself, am I ever going to find love? Am I ever going to find the one? Dating in 2025 is fucked. Or is it? I think dating in 2025 is what you make it. And in today's episode, my goal is to help you feel more empowered when you go out there and you date. I've recently become single and I've taken the time to reflect on the lessons and blessings that came from that previous relationship. And now winter is coming to a close here in Australia. Spring is almost sprung and I feel myself emerging, coming out of my shell, being more social, more curious about what the next chapter of my journey is. And I've recently gone to a couple different singles nights, these events, and I've learned quite a bit. In today's episode, I want to share with you some practical tips that you can perhaps implement in your approach to dating that will help you feel more empowered and confident and perhaps take some of the pressure off and actually make it a little bit more fun and enjoyable. And let me make it clear, I'm not posturing as though I've got all the answers and that I've got it all figured out, because I haven't got the love of my life. I'm in this with you. So if you feel lost in dating right now, if you feel confused, if you feel a little bit withdrawn, maybe you're ready to check out completely and never date again, tune in, listen in, stick with me through this, because I guarantee there is someone out there for you. There's someone out there for me, and you want to build something real. If you're watching this video, you're someone that cares about building a life alongside someone. You're not in it just for the nice stuff, but you want someone that you can hold through the difficult times too. And you want to be held through those difficult times as well. Like I said, I've gone to a couple of these singles nights. There's a company in Australia, I'm not sure if it's worldwide, I think it's just in Australia, but they put on singles nights with the goal of getting people off the apps. And I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great initiative. The first one that I went with another friend of mine, just a bit of moral support. Him and I had fun. And I met a girl that I felt like I connected with. We had a good conversation. It went on for 40 minutes and then we exchanged numbers. And I think when it comes to dating, this is the first lesson, I suppose. We want to go straight to the long-term thing from the get-go. People think that going out for dinner and having this interview style dinner together for the first date is a smart thing to do. I disagree. So what I did, I invited her to come on a walk with me. And this takes the pressure off. You're active, you're moving together, you're doing something together, and you're kind of side by side. It's this side by side vibe rather than this face-to-face interview, intense kind of vibe. The other nice thing about going on a walk is that if it's not really a fit, you can kind of cut the walk short. You don't have to continue the walk. You don't have to walk for ages. You can kind of wrap it up and land the plane. This walk that we went on, again, the conversation was good. It flowed well. However, at the end, I just didn't feel it. It gave me that clarity that this isn't going to progress further beyond this, and that's okay. So the next tip, I suppose, that I have for you is hire slow and fire fast. What do I mean by that? Well, get to know someone. Be curious about them, ask questions, and be curious about yourself and how you feel in their presence. And if you don't see it progressing, then you don't need to continue it. You don't need to keep talking to them, keep engaging with them. You can politely say, it's been nice to get to know you, and this is where it ends. I feel like I don't see potential for this to continue on, and I appreciate you, I respect you, and I hope you find what you're looking for. You don't even have to explain yourself if you don't want, but I think that that's better than just ghosting someone. I don't think ghosting someone is nice. I think speaking up and being honest is valuable and helpful. But you've got to be honest with yourself. So hire slow and fire fast. The other nice thing about a walking date as the first date is you're kind of accomplishing something together. You know, you're kind of physically moving, you're active, you're side by side. If it's nice where you live, you know, the sun's shining, it's just a good vibe. It's a nice low barrier to entry. You know, you don't have to go and fork out hundreds of dollars. If you're the guy and you're going on a first date, you're probably going to be the one paying for the bill, right? And if you're going to fork out a couple $100 on the first date and then it's not really a fit, you know, was that really worth it? Was that really worth your time, your energy, and also your money? But anyway, you do what you want to do on a first date. This is something that I quite like. I like it. So I'm going to have a little bit of coffee. And by the way, I've come down to the coast this weekend for the surf, and it is flat as anything out there. It looks like a lake, but it's a beautiful view. I've got my board here, I've got my coffee here, and so I thought, why not share some of the reflections that I've been having over these last few weeks when it comes to dating? Because like I said, dating in 2025 doesn't have to suck unless you make it suck. Unless you believe what everyone else says about dating in 2025. Oh, dating's fucked, hookup culture's fucked, the apps are fucked. If you buy into that, then yeah, it is fucked. But if you allow yourself to have fun, to explore, to put yourself out there, to see it as an exploration, as an opportunity, as an invitation, that's fun. That can lighten up the load. That can take off this pressure to find the one and to have them be your everything and have them complete you. So the first singles night that I went to, you could say that it was a success. I went in there with very low expectations, more curiosity rather than anything, and I connected with another woman. We had a great conversation, we exchanged numbers, and then we went for a walk around the lake, and then I realized that it wasn't going to progress beyond that, and that's totally okay. The second singles night, again, my mate and I were going to go together. We'd both bought tickets, and then he pulled out a couple days early because he met a girl and he took her out for dinner. That night we were meant to go to the second singles night. And there was a part of me that was like, oh, should I just pull out as well? I feel a bit uncomfortable, a bit nervous going on my own. But I thought, no, I'm going to lock in, I'm going to go. I leaned in and I went. And it was a sausage fest. There were guys everywhere. There were 5 guys to 1 girl. And I was bummed. I was just, and the vibe just wasn't the same as the first one that I went to. It was very crammed and it wasn't that great. However, I still engaged. I still had conversations with the people that were there. And so I see these singles nights kind of like a social experiment. It's a way of expressing myself. It's a way of learning about others. It's a way of asking questions and getting out of my comfort zone. So this second singles night was a massive letdown. Again, I didn't have massive expectations, but it was just a letdown nonetheless. And after it, I noticed myself feeling quite bummed. I thought, you know what? Yeah, they're right. Dating is fucked. This is all fucked. I feel embarrassed that I've even got to go to this singles night to try and meet people. But then I reminded myself, hey, you know what? I showed up. There was a part of me that didn't want to go, but I showed up and I pushed past that discomfort and I did that. And it wasn't what I expected. Yes, it didn't really produce a particular result, but the thing is I showed up, and that's a pretty awesome thing. So celebrate small wins. Give yourself permission to just step beyond that comfort zone that you have and take initiative. Be bold, be courageous, ask questions. If you're on the apps, ask questions, get to know people. And I think it's best to try and get off the apps and get in person sooner rather than later, because you don't know what it's going to feel like being in someone else's presence, right? There's nothing that really compares to that. You know, the dating apps only give you a very small fraction of what that might feel like. So get out there, get out of your comfort zone, put yourself out there, ask questions, be bold, be courageous, be curious, and take time to get to know yourself as well. And a great way to get to know yourself is through being with other people, but also being in solitude as well, and reflecting and asking questions. How did I feel when I was around that person? Oh, I quite liked that about them. What was it that I liked about being with them? What do I value? What is important to me? What am I moving towards? I believe it is very valuable to clarify your vision, your mission, your purpose, you know, what you're going after, what is meaningful to you. And that will help you better qualify potential matches to see whether they're on a similar path to you or not. So these, in my opinion, are really important things to take into consideration when it comes to dating. And my mate, who I've been going to these singles nights with, he met this girl and he said, you know, she's really my type. I'm really into her. And so he took her to the most expensive restaurant for the first date. And I said, man, good on you, you know, like big spender, like she must be the one, you know, you must be pretty sure about this. And he went and he said it was awesome, you know, it was a great date. But he's like, what's the next step? You know, what am I going to do next? And I said, yeah, well, you've kind of gone to like maybe a third or fourth date on the first date. In my opinion, again, if that's your vibe, if that's your jam, good for you. But this is why I think it is helpful to just hire slow and fire fast. Take time to qualify these people that you're meeting. And when I say qualify, you know, I don't mean checking off a checklist. You know, do they like dogs? Do they like sleeping early at night? Do they like getting up early? Do they like going to the gym? Like, these are really surface level kind of things. Of course, there's got to be some shared interests there. But when I say qualify them, like, do you truly see potential with them, or is it just like a maybe? This is why I think it's helpful to have these lower entry points in terms of getting to know someone. You don't need to go and have this big grand romantic date at the fanciest restaurant overlooking the beach by the sunset for the first date. You know, keep it low key, have fun, take some of the pressure off. Like, you don't have to figure out if this is going to be your ride or die life partner in the first few dates. Just take time to lean in and get to know yourself and get to know them. And take some of that pressure off you. You know, I know that some of us have biological clocks and time frames that we want to achieve certain things by, but sometimes that can just get in the way of us being ourselves and us truly connecting with other people. So you know what your barriers are. For you, it might be molding yourself into what you think other people want you to be. For another person, it might be, you know, just going with the flow and just not really knowing what you want and staying in things far longer than you should. So I can't necessarily tell you what your area of focus is. That's something that you get to uncover through your own introspection. But I hope today's video has awakened something with you. I hope it's illuminated something within you. I hope it's given you more of an urge to take some of that pressure off and to have a bit more fun and to see it as more of an explorative practice in life. Because for me, I think, yeah, there's a big difference between pressure and play. Pressure is, I need this to work. This has to work out. I need to figure it all out. Play is, I'm open and receptive to what life brings to me. I'm open and receptive to meet new people and form new connections and explore new perspectives. And when I say play, I don't mean playing games or, you know, playing with people's emotions or anything like that. I mean, have fun. Take life a little less seriously. And I've got to take my own advice because, man, I can get so serious. Like, life for me most of the time is really serious and really heavy. And so I'm constantly reminding myself to breathe into it, to relax into it, to have fun. Because ultimately, if you want a partner, if you want to build something solid, if you want to be a husband, a wife, a father, a mother, that requires a lot of internal space. That requires a lot of spaciousness internally to be able to handle and hold all of that chaos. So if you're very serious, very uptight, very heavy, very weighed down, taking on more responsibility by being a husband, father, wife, mother, that's going to be heavy, man. This is how people get seriously sick and ill. They just carry so much weight and continue to pack on more and more weight, physically, mentally, emotionally. And to the point where there's just so much baggage that they become physically ill, stagnant, sick, disconnected. So that's not the path for me. I am intending on creating as much space inside so that I can be a family man, a father that can handle all of the chaos of my kids, that can create a safe space for my wife to thrive and to be the best version of herself, and to trust that she's going to create that space for me and the kids as well. So this is why, guys, I think getting so clear on who you are, what you value, what is important to you, and trusting that it is already a done deal. It already exists. It is coming to you. You've just got to allow it in. You have to allow it in and create the space for it. And the more that you need it, the more that you want it, the more that you chase it, likely the further away it gets. Again, I'm not a fucking guru. I'm not an expert. I'm not posturing as though I know that this is the full truth, but this is at least what I am choosing to believe. It may sound a little bit esoterical. It may sound a little bit woo-woo. It may sound a little bit airy-fairy, and that's okay. You know, that is okay. That's okay, but this is what I'm choosing to believe. I think our parents can put a lot of pressure on us. You know, you've got to find the one. We fell in love. It was love at first sight. And we're living in a different world right now. We're living in 2025. This is different, okay? I'm not saying that that's not possible, but just know that what your parents say doesn't necessarily mean that's how your experience should be. Again, some of that pressure can come down from our parents, and it can, that they think that they're helping, and maybe they are in some ways, but it can actually just create more pressure, which can not be helpful. So, beautiful people, thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I know it's been a bit of a rant and a ramble. It's another spontaneous episode from the car down the coast. And yeah, look, I hope that it's been helpful. If you've got questions, drop them in the comments. If this has helped you, if you think there's a friend that you have that could benefit from it, be a good friend, share it with them, pass it forward. Until the next episode, Spack is out. Have a beautiful day.